So for tonight's class, I have 2 blocks. I have 2 handheld weights. Mine are kind of medium weight. You do not need to use a weight. I will give you an option with a block, or you can use no block or no weights at all. We are going to start by looping the yoga strap. You're going to make a small loop that looks like this. And if you don't have one that is loopable, don't worry. You can make do without it, but if you have one, perfect. Make a small loop. Good. All right. So we are going to start lying on our backs. You're going to have one of your yoga blocks with you, and you're going to have your strap close by. And we're going to start, as I said, lying on your back. You're going to start with your feet at least mat distance apart. So take your feet as wide as your mat. Then you're going to take your yoga block and you're going to place it high up between your thighs. I'll turn around so you can see where I'm starting with it. It's pretty close to my pelvic floor. So you're going to start with it close down and your feet wide. You can rest your hands on the bottom of your rib cage and close your eyes. And as usual, we're just going to start with some breathing. So as you inhale, inhale through your nose. As you exhale, blow out candles like you're blowing out 75 birthday candles on a cake, or you can like you're shushing someone who's being loud in a movie theater. So either one of those options is an option, either to blow out hard, like you're blowing out a lot of candles, or to shush. And so each inhale in through your nose, each exhale, that forceful exhale, and just notice to what happens beneath your hands in that belly part, so beneath the ribs, each time you exhale the breath out. Notice how there's a tightening of that upper abdominal, lower abdominal region with that forceful exhale. We're going to start to add in, both my animals are like all around me right now, so you can't see. Go on, go on. So we're going to start to add in some movement with the pelvic floor and internal rotation of the hips. So as you exhale, start to squeeze the block between the thighs, almost as if you could roll the block to the floor underneath your bottom. And then as you inhale, let that go. As you exhale, either that candles or shush breath, and think of rolling your inner thighs as you squeeze the block between your thighs. We're going to do this 3 to 5 more times, kind of staying with your own breath, but making your exhale really long, squeezing and internally like you're rolling or you're trying to pez that block out to the floor beneath your bottom. 2 more. Good. We're going to now move the block so it's up between the knees. So now the lower part of your thighs towards the knees rather than towards your pelvic floor. We're going to start to bridge this. So as you exhale, you're going to squeeze the block between your knees and lift your hips with your exhale. And still using that forceful breath that taps into the core. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, blow candles, shush, and then internally rotate the thighs as you lift the hips and squeeze the block. We're going to do 3 more of these. Each time finding that internal rotation as if the thighs are rolling in and towards your heels. Timing it with that exhale each time you lift. And just notice what it feels like to do bridge pose with the hips in this preferenced internal rotation position. Good. Lower down. Let the back of the rib cage settle towards the floor and let the low back slightly come away from the floor. You're going to keep your feet wide. Really squeeze the block between the knees. So find the inner thighs engage. Keep the feet wide. As you exhale, exhale as forcefully as possible. So really blow or really shush and lift the legs above the knees, above the hips. Pause here. Keep the block between your thighs. I'm going to shift so you can see a little bit better. Take both hands to the block. Hold it in place as you try to take your heels out and roll the leg bones onto the block. So you're just going to do that a few times. So just kind of notice what it feels like in the hip joints as you splay your feet wide and roll your leg bones into the block. Take them both wide and just pause and look at your feet. Notice if you see that one foot moves a little further out than the other. Don't think too much about it, just recognize it. And then you're going to bring them both in. Take your left hand to your left knee and start to press those two together. And now just move the right foot in and out, rolling the leg bone in towards the block. Notice how that feels. And then switch right hand to right knee. Keep the right leg still as you move just the left leg. And again, notice if one moves a little differently than the other and just make a note of that. Good. Bring both legs out. And as you exhale, blow candles and stretch the feet as wide as you can as you lower the feet back down to the ground. Once the feet land, keep the feet as wide as your mat. And on your next exhale, lift the hips into the bridge. Inhale, hips go down. Exhale, forceful exhale to tone the abs so you can lift the knees back above your hips. Good. Inhale. And then as you exhale, take the feet wide, blow candles. Feet wide, land. Inhale. And then as you exhale, hip bridge. Two more like that. Inhale to lower the hips. As you exhale, keep the feet twisting out wide, blow to lift. Inhale at the top. As you exhale, splay the feet wide, roll the leg bones in, lower without the ribs flaring. So keep the ribs attached to the floor. Inhale at the bottom and then exhale, lift the hips. Inhale, lower down. One more time, keep the spine stiff. Ribs towards the floor. Exhale forcefully, bring the feet up. And as you inhale at the top, hold. Exhale, take the feet wide, roll the thighs in, lower down without letting the ribs lift away from the floor. We're going to add on. Take a break. Release the block from your knees. Take your knees wide and then take one knee down towards the floor. Come back through center and take the other knee down. So just swivel your hips a little side to side, releasing that tension. We're going to add on. You don't have to. So this time, as we lift our knees up over our hips, you have the option to crunch up, chin towards throat, reaching your hands on either side of your knees. So go ahead and take the block back between your thighs, right between your knees. Walk your feet out at least mat distance apart. Start to squeeze the block hard between the thighs. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, blow candles, lift the hips. Inhale, lower the hips. As you exhale, keep your feet out and exhale, crunch up, maybe tap your shins. Inhale, lower down, feet land. Exhale, lift your hips. Inhale, lower your hips. Exhale, crunch up, maybe tap your outer shins. Inhale, feet go wide. Land, hands down, inhale, lift. Last time, lower the hips. Exhale, feet stay wide, crunch up. Tap the outer calf. Inhale, lower feet, release the knee, or release the block between the knees. Take your hips side to side. So one thing I didn't mention is that you will want your knee to slide on the floor. If you're on carpet and you have shorts on, that might be interesting. If you are on a hard floor and you have on shorts, that might be interesting. But your knee will eventually slide on the floor. You can always use a blanket or a paper plate or a slider if you have one. I'm on a hard floor, so I didn't think about it. So we're now going to go to that yoga strap. You're going to look at where the loop is and where the strap comes in. You're going to wrap the band of the yoga strap, that loop, around the arch of your foot and tighten it on the top of your foot with the band going on the inside. And you're going to take the yoga band in your left hand, wrap it around the inside of your right calf, and then bring it on the outside of your right knee. You're going to hold it in your left hand. Keep it on the outside of your knee. Just hold the band in your right knee, and you're going to bend and use the band to kind of pull the knee in rather than letting it go out, and then straighten. So just for a few times, bend the knee towards your center of your chest. It won't actually go there, but as if it could. Just a few times, let it bend and straighten. So the way that we have this band wrapped around our foot is to help, or our leg, is to help us preference internal rotation in this leg. So I'm going to turn around so you can see. I'm going to hold it in my left hand, straighten it above my hip, and I'm going to use the band to kind of rotate the whole leg. Do you see how my leg rotates in? Use it to rotate your leg in, and then just hold it there. You're going to straighten your left leg down to the ground. As you exhale, slide your left heel on the ground and then straighten it above your hip and then lower it down to the ground. So that same forceful exhale that we used at the beginning, we're going to use that as we lower our leg. So pull the heel along the ground, straighten it beside your right leg, then we're going to reverse direction. So as you lift, exhale, bend the knee in towards your chest. Let the heel slide along the ground. As you exhale, lift, bend the knee, let it slide along the ground. One more time. As you exhale, bend the knee, let it slide along the ground. Keep the left leg straight. Bend your right knee using the strap to kind of pull the knee in more towards the midline. Take your right thumb and place it in your hip crease of your right leg. You're going to use the leg or the thumb to kind of pull that hip down and keep this hip pelvis glued to the floor as you use your strap to pull the right knee over to the left. Back of the right hip stays on the ground. Use the thumb to pull it down and then just straighten and bend your right knee. And you might feel some interesting sensation, maybe in the outer hip, maybe in the hamstring, maybe in the groin. Next time you straighten the leg, keep it straight. Reach your right arm straight above your shoulder. You're going to roll onto, or take your left arm straight above your ear, and you're going to roll onto your left side. Right leg is still out in front of you. You're going to push the leg out in front of you and then rock it back. So almost as if you're pushing that leg out of the hip socket and then sucking it back in. Push it out. Suck it in. 2 more times, push it out. Suck it in. Push it out. This time you're going to roll all the way onto your belly. You should be where your right side is off the mat and on the floor. And you're going to switch the belt into your right hand. You might want to watch this because it's going to be hard to see. Now let your right knee bend. Then I'm going to drop the foot towards my left thigh. Slide the knee up along the floor until it comes out beside my right hip like a frog. Once it's there, I can use the belt to lift the lower leg and then slide it back in. So as you come up, foot goes towards the floor. As you go down, foot lifts. So just make a few of these circles. I would say the more you overthink this, the more challenging it's going to be. So just think of letting the leg slide up, knee directing, and the knee leads as you go back in. Knee leads as you go out towards your shoulder. Knee leads as you go back towards your thigh. So just allow this movement to be more or less not thought-provoking. Just kind of allow it to be more natural. It's kind of like prying into some excess movement in the hip. The next time you take your knee out towards your shoulder, pause there. Let the foot be on the floor. You're going to walk your right hand up the strap closer to where it's on the foot, and you're going to use it to pull the foot up. And you might want to pause and look. If you look, you'll see that my heel is above my knee. Right now, my leg is in internal rotation. And I have the strap wrapped around the inner calf because it's still there. And I'm going to start to push my calf hard into the band. And as I do that, I feel my inner thigh roll towards the floor. And I'm going to push as hard as I can. So I'm really tugging on the band with my hands to keep it strong and stable. And I'm going to do that as hard as I can. I'm pushing my pubic bone towards the floor, pushing my calf into the strap for about 15 seconds, which we're probably there. And then I'm going to try to go the opposite way. So I'm going to try to lift my calf away from the strap. So now my foot is going towards the floor beside my head. And I'm going to do that again. So push hard with your calf into the band, taking the foot down towards the floor next to your foot. Push hard. Pubic bone towards the floor, inner thigh towards the floor, pressing the top of my left foot into the floor. And now I'm going to try to pull it away from the band. So now my thigh bone, top of my thigh bone is rolling up. Foot is pulling out of the band. Good. Let the band go. Make a couple of more circles like we did before. Just kind of notice if that had any effect on it. And then the next time you bring the knee next to the left knee, point the toe. Come up onto your elbows, but not underneath your shoulders, but lift your head away from the floor. You're going to use your right hand to push as you reach with your right foot behind you, and you're going to come up into a Z sit. Take your block. So my left knee is in line. I don't think I'm mirroring you unless my camera is different than what I think it is. Your left knee is in line with your left hip, so straight out in front. It's not out to this side. So look at the knee and your hip point. It makes a straight line. So Barbara, bring your front knee, your left knee in. Yep, good. And then bring the foot out if you can, so it's a 90-degree bend. Same thing with the back knee. The right knee is in line with your right hip. And if at all possible, that knee is also bent at 90 degrees. Take your block, place it on the inner left thigh. You're going to roll out over the block. If you can bring your elbows to the floor, great. If not, just take your hands wide. Let your ribs relax onto the block. Relax is a strong word here. But allow them, the rib cage, to kind of just collapse onto the block. Let your head hang heavy and just take 3 to 5 breaths. Breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. As you breathe in, feel the back and sides of your rib cage expand. And as you exhale, let your ribs kind of melt into the block. One more breath. Press yourself up. I'm going to shift how I am focused or on facing you so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. My cat is doing something crazy over there. I have no idea. You're going to keep the block on your inner thigh. And you're going to rest your elbow on your front one, your left thigh. You're going to rest your elbow. And you're going to take the strap in your right hand and rest your right elbow on your right hip. You're going to lean forward and let your hand kind of pull your right foot off the ground. You're going to drop the foot down. Then you're going to lift your left thigh into the elbow and press the elbow down into the block. So there's resistance there. Then drop the left knee down, kind of shift towards the left as you use your right hand to pull your right foot off the ground. Right foot comes down, lean back slightly, push elbow and thigh into the block. 2 more times like that. Lean towards your left knee. Lift the right foot off the floor. Just notice how far that foot can come off the floor with assistance. Good. Shift. Use the strap, kind of pulling it, tugging it with your right hand. Good. Push. I think my cat brought in an animal and it's chasing it, which is awesome. Lean. And you're going to hold here. Just like we did lying on your belly. So it's on your calf. You're going to start to try to push the foot down to the floor. You're using your hand to pull it in the opposite direction. And then you're going to try to just leave the foot there and let the strap go. Take the strap again. You're going to use it now to lift the foot. Tap the heel in line with your right sit bone, and then use the strap to go back into internal rotation. So heel taps in line with your sit bone, and then knee taps in line with your sit bone. And internal rotation is probably the most elusive rotation in our hip joint. It's something that we need in everyday activities. And when we lack it, it's something that can make everyday movement, like walking downstairs or walking upstairs, challenging. Good. You're going to go ahead and remove the band off from your foot. You're going to take both of your blocks and place them off towards the front of your mat at an angle like this. So the front ends kind of point in, back ends point out. You're going to mirror the angles of the block with your shins. So your knees are mat distance apart and your toes touch. And you're going to lower your elbows onto the block. You're going to drop everything towards the floor. Let the head drop, let the spine drop, let the pelvis drop. And then on your next exhalation, you're going to push the inside of your elbow and your wrists down into the blocks and lift everything that you just dropped towards the floor as far away from the floor as you can. And take 3 deep breaths. Keep pushing the elbows down, keep pushing the wrists down. Slight lift and spread of your sit bones. Your entire spine and head are lifting as far away from the floor as you can without rounding the spine. Crawl your right knee forward and your left knee back, but keep them wide and the toes in. As you exhale, press your hips back. And as you inhale, shift forward. Exhale back. Inhale, shift forward. 2 more. Good. Shift both knees forward. Come on to your bottom. And we're going to do all of that on the other side. So we're going to start with the loop. Wrap it around the arch of your foot. The clasp is on the top of your foot, and the lace goes in. When you come onto your back, you're going to lace it around your calf, and then on the outside of your left knee. You're going to hold the band in your right hand, so it already starts to preference the leg into internal rotation. Keep it on the outside of the knee and just bend and straighten the left knee a few times. As you bend, give a little slight tug with the right hand to help the knee move more towards the midline rather than that outward movement. And go ahead and keep that leg straight and just tug on the belt. Notice how as you tug with your right hand, it rolls the entire leg bone in, and then hold it in. Straighten your right leg to the ground. As you inhale, drag it on the floor, heel on the floor, straighten the leg beside the left leg. And as you exhale, blow candles, lower down. 2 more times. We're using that strong exhale as we lower to keep the rib cage from flaring up towards the sky and to keep the entire core tight to avoid that hip pop. So this is your third time. Exhale as you lower. Take an inhale with the leg straight. And now as you exhale, lift the right leg beside the left, bend the knee in, and then straighten it along the ground. 2 more times that way. Exhale as you lift, blow candles or shush. As you inhale, slide it. Last time, exhale to lift. Inhale to straighten. And then bend the left knee. Left thumb inside your left hip crease. You're going to use your left thumb to pull the hip crease down. Keep the pelvis on the floor and only pull the knee as far to the right as it'll go without lifting the pelvis. So hold there and then straighten and bend your left knee across your body. So it's off to the right. And then hold straight. Reach the left arm straight over your shoulder. I'm going to flip around so I can actually do this. Left arm is straight. Now you're going to let the pelvis come off the ground as the lower body twists towards the floor. Straighten your right arm beside your ear, continuing to hold the band and push the leg out and suck it back in. So the whole lower body twist. The left arm stays above the shoulder just to show you that you can move the lower body without moving the shoulder. Next time you take the leg straight, keep the leg straight and roll all the way onto your belly and close your legs. Switch the belt into your left hand. You can rest your forehead on your right forearm. Use the band to bend your left knee. And we're just going to do that somatic movement of internal rotation and external rotation. So as you take the knee up towards your left elbow, foot goes towards the floor. And as you take it towards your right thigh, toe goes up towards the sky. With just a few rotations. Allowing yourself to feel that natural movement of internal rotation, external rotation, as much as you got it. The next time you pull the knee up towards the elbow or towards your head, keep it there. Use the strap to pull the lower leg off the ground. So my heel is above my knee. Start to press the right leg and foot hard into the ground to stabilize that side of your body. And then start to push your left inner calf into the belt towards the floor. And you're resisting that with pulling the band with your hands. Start to roll the pubic bone towards the floor, the inner thigh towards the floor. You're pressing hard. And then imagine you can lift it out of the band. So now the top of my hip is going towards the floor to move actively into that internal rotation. We're going to do that one more time. So press the calf, inner calf into the band. Go hard, inner thigh, pubic bone towards the floor. And then lift it out. Trying to pull the calf out of the band. Good. And then a few more rotations just to let that tension go. Bring the knees close to each other. Point the toe towards the sky. Left hand on the ground. Start to push yourself up as you reach your left foot towards the right side of your mat. Then we're going to come into that Z set. Right knee in line with hip, left knee in line with hip, both knees bent at 90 degrees. Block on your inner right thigh, fold over the block, either elbows on the ground or hands wide. 3 to 5 deep breaths. in and out through your nose. Allowing the front of your rib cage to kind of melt around the block as you exhale, and feeling the back and side of the rib cage expand as you inhale. One more breath. And go ahead and press up. Make sure the band is wrapped around the inside of your calf. You're going to hold the band with your left hand. So I have my left forearm in line with my left thigh, and I'm holding the yoga strap with my palm up in the palm. And it's pretty taut so that I can actually use it to move my lower leg. My right elbow is pressing down into the block. I'm going to lean towards my right elbow, and I'm going to pull with my left hand to lift my lower left leg. Then I'm going to rotate towards my chest towards my left knee as I kick my right knee up off the floor and push the knee and the elbow, or the thigh and the elbow, into the block. And then I'm just going to rotate between these two. So as I lift my right knee, I rotate my chest towards my left knee. And as I lift my left foot, I rotate my chest towards my right knee. But I'm creating tension between the elbow, the block, and the thigh in order to increase how much my inner thigh or my adductors work, because that's part of internal rotation as well. Next time you go forward, stay forward. Use the strap to lift the back foot as much as you can, and then start to push your inner calf into the strap. And then leave it where it is and let go. Hold it there. You might feel a little cramping on the outside of your hip. Grab the strap again. You can take the block off to the right side, and you're going to use the strap to go into internal and external rotation actively. Knee taps in line with sit bone, heel taps in line with sit bone. If you feel any popping or snapping in your hip or SI joint, use your candles. So usually that means that your lower core is not active enough. Good. Go ahead and remove the band off your foot, and we are done with the yoga strap. So you can move that out of the way. We're going to take the blocks back into that position. So in that kind of V position, wide. The knee, the calf or the shins mirror the way that the blocks are. So toes in, knees wide. Bring your elbows and your wrist onto the block. Collapse completely. And then start to press the elbow and your wrist to lift your chest and your spine away from the floor, keeping a lift and spread in your sit bones. Take 3 breaths here, trying to find that same sensation of how you expanded the back and the sides of your ribs when you were lying over the block when it was on your thigh. So expand into the back body. Keep pushing elbow and wrist or outer forearm into the block. And then crawl your left knee slightly forward, your right knee slightly back, keeping the knees wide, toes in. As you exhale, go back And as you inhale, lift forward. As you inhale, think of almost lifting your lower abdominal area, or you can think of a Kegel. Good. Remove the blocks off to the front of your mat. I'm going to turn around and face you, or not face you, so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to bring your knees together and then just separate them slightly. Bend your right knee, kicking your heel to your hip. You may want to bring blanket under your knees if being on your knees is uncomfortable, because this is interesting. And we're just going to isolate that internal rotation and external rotation by turning the lower leg towards the left thigh and then as far out from the left thigh as you can. Start to feel how the rotation happens in the hip, and avoid hiking the hip, right? So see how I can make that foot come out further if I kind of let my shoulder and my hip come towards each other. You want to keep that still and let the rotation just happen in the hip joint. Take one of your blocks and place it on the back of your pelvis. Take your foot out, so you're in internal rotation. So your leg bone is rolling in as your lower leg rolls out. And then you're going to lift the knee back, keep the foot out, and take it forward only as much as you can without the block moving. So each time you take your knee back, really take the foot out more. So your inner right thigh reaches towards the sky. Next time you take it out, turn the foot towards the left and then make a circle. So foot out, knee in, lift, then foot to the left, circle. One more time in that direction. And then knee forward, foot to the left. And then as you bring it back together, foot goes out. Release the knee back to the ground. Remove the block from your lower back. And knees wide, sit the hips back, child's pose. Just notice the difference between your right and your left. Take the blocks high on either side of the front of your mat. You're going to bring your hands onto the tops of your blocks with your bottom sitting back towards your heel. And then this knee, right foot, is going to step forward. Kick the foot out, knee drags in, sit back. Kick the foot out, bring it forward. Kick the foot out, knee in, come back. One more time, kick the foot out, knee forward, stay there. Bring awareness to your foot. Look at your big toe knuckle and the center of your heel. As you push the knee forward, think of allowing your arch to go towards the floor. So push more through the inner heel and the big toe. And then shift back. We're going to do that 3 times. So knee straight over second and third toe, but allow the arch of your foot to go towards the floor. So pronation, which is the arch going towards the floor, is coupled with internal rotation. And I think we've been taught that pronation is a bad thing and we should avoid it. We have no internal rotation without pronation. Next time we're going to do pronation, but we're going to guide the knee even further in. So let it go inside of your big toe. And do that 2 more times. So arch presses down, big toe knuckle, inner heel. 1 more time, knee going inside the big toe. And then same thing, but we're letting the knee go out. The arch will not go down, but keep your big toe and inner heel down as you try to guide the knee over your pinky toe without gripping your toes. Good. Back up. Take the blocks on either side of your right knee and straighten your right leg and flex the ankle. So point the toes towards the sky. Can you roll the leg bone inside? So without moving the pelvis at all, can you tick-tock your right leg? So right foot tick-tocks in and out. Find that internal rotation, which is going to be minimal here. Walk the block slightly forward, and you're going to twist your chest towards your right hand as you fold, and then come back up. Twist your chest towards your right hand, come back up. Twist your chest towards your right hand, come back up. Bend the right knee. Bring the foot back down to the ground. I'm going to grab a weight. This is an optional weight movement. So the right foot stays on the ground. I'm going to face this way so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to think of taking the leg bone back into the hip socket. Weight goes back and then forward. So this left hand moves with the right knee. Keep the big toe and inner heel on the ground as you just shift the pelvis back, feeling that inside of your right leg bone draw back into the hip crease. This is kind of matched with our gait. Good. If you have the weight, go ahead and put it down. Come to hands and knees. Tuck the toes under. And cat-cow, so round and extend the spine. And then sit back into child's pose again. And take a few breaths there. Just noticing again the difference between your right and your left hip. And take the blocks high. Hands on the blocks with your hips still seated back towards your heels. And do the same thing again. So as you bring your left foot up between the blocks, think of kicking the left foot out to the side. So to preference that internal rotation to bring it forward. Kick it out to bring it back. Kick it out to bring it forward. Kick it out to bring it back. One more, kick it out to bring it forward. Stay there. Big toe, inner heel on the ground. As you shift forward, big knee goes over second and third toe. Think of pressing the arch towards the floor. And as you go back, lift it away. 2 more like that. Big toe, inner heel, arch. So pronate. As you lift away, feel the arch come away from the floor. Last time in this movement. Good. Now knee towards big toe. So on the inside of the big toe. So we're more internally rotating. Really feel the arch go towards the floor. Keep the pinky mount on the ground though. Don't let the outer edge of your foot lift. Good. Now we go out. Keep the big toe and inner heel. The arch will not go towards the floor now. So we're kind of preferencing that supination or stiff foot. Shift the hips back, shift the block back, straighten the left leg. Flex the ankle and tick-tock your foot. So low, whole leg rolling in and out. Then find that in and start to twist your chest towards your left hand. Come out of it. Chest towards left hand. Come out of it. One more time. Chest towards left hand. Come out of it. Bring the left foot back down to the ground. You can take that weight in your right hand. Your right knee and right arm are going to swing forward at the same time. So you're going to go forward and then suck it back. Forward, suck the leg into the hip socket. Uh-oh, we lost Lisa. Couple more times. Big toe mount, inner heel down. Good. Bring the blocks back on either side. Sweep that left leg back and come back into that child's with the hands on the block if you'd like. Get a little chest and shoulder stretch if it's comfortable. Tuck the toes under. Lift up to quadruped or hands and knees. Lift and spread your sit bones. So tilt your pelvis or those hip points towards the fronts of your thighs and lift your knees off the ground. So knees are still bent at 90 degrees. We're really starting to push the hip points towards the tops of your thighs, push the floor away, and then come back into a down dog. And then shift knees towards the floor again. Just do that a couple of times. And if the shoulder is an issue, you can just come into a forward fold. Lift the hips and walk the feet towards the front of the mat. Feet mat distance apart. Toes point out slightly. Lift and spread your sit bones. Hip points towards your thighs. Lift your hands out in front of you. And then stand up. So we're going to take one block. You also have the option to use your weights here. So you're going to hold a weight in each hand. You're going to step your right foot up on the block. Your left foot is maybe 2 inches behind your block. So it's not a way back. It's about 2 inches behind the block, but your feet are hip distance apart. This right knee is going to be bent. You're going to come onto your left toes, and then you're going to fold to where your hip point is resting on your right thigh. As you pull your right fist towards your rib cage, your left knee and fist go towards the floor. And then as you pull your left fist towards your rib, both knees are still bent, but they're less, the left knee is less bent. So you're just going to rotate pelvis and rib cage together. As you do this, continue to press the knees out. My right knee is staying the same bend the whole time. My left knee bends a little bit more when I twist to the right, and it straightens a little bit when I twist to the left. Big toe and inner heel continue to press into the block. Go ahead and stand up. Keep your right foot on the block. Take your left foot wide. We're going to step the left foot behind the block. Your right elbow is going to bend. Your left elbow is going to bend. Your right elbow is going to bend behind you, and you're going to tap your right knee with your left elbow, and then step out, switch. So the elbows bend the opposite. As you step to the right, your left bell goes to your right shoulder or left shoulder. Good. 2 more. Good. Step off. You can keep your weights in your hands, but just take a few walks around your block in one direction. Notice what you feel. Then turn around and walk in the opposite direction. And notice what you feel. So I'm going to switch the block to the opposite side. So left foot is now on the block. Right toes are about 2 inches behind the block. And then step your feet about hip distance apart. Left knee stays this bent the whole time. Come up onto the ball of your right foot and then hinge to where your chest is parallel to the ground. Your right knee and your right fist are going towards the floor as you twist to the left and then opposite. So we're just twisting. You'll feel the rotation of the pelvis and you'll feel the rotation of the rib cage. They're moving together. The left knee stays bent. The right knee goes a little deeper bent and a little less bent. Pressing through the big toe mount and inner heel of your left foot the whole time. 1 more each direction. And then go ahead and stand up, step your right foot outside. As you curtsy squat, the right elbow is going to bend and tap the left knee. And that left elbow is going to reach behind you. So step behind with your right foot. Bring your right elbow to your left knee. And then switch. So the left hand swings behind as you go into the curtsy squat. Again, we're matching our arms with our gait. 2 more. Good. And then either weights in your hands or not. Walk around in one direction. And turn around and walk the other way. Go ahead and come back down onto the ground. Take your feet mat distance apart. Bend your knees to 90 degrees. Knees wider than your shoulders. So a lot of times we'll see this. Can you take your knees really wide and then bring one knee in without moving the sit bones? So 1 at a time. So we are isolating that internal rotation in 1 hip at a time. Bring your left foot in, cross your right ankle over your left knee. If you can, walk your left heel closer, you can. If you want, you can lift your bottom up and scoot your sit bones as close to your left heel as possible. You can also walk your hands closer to your bum and get your chest closer to your shin. So we've worked a lot in internal rotation. So our final stretch is external rotation. Sometimes I find it helpful to rotate my ankle in either direction. Kind of takes my mind off of whatever I'm feeling. Scoot the hips back, right foot down, left ankle crosses over right knee. Bring the heel in, bring the bottom in, maybe walk the hands forward. Rotating the ankle. Scoot away. I always find it interesting how isolating internal rotation can improve my external rotation. So come into that butterfly position and just kind of notice. Do you notice any difference in how close or far away your knees are from the floor? Just kind of making that subtle awareness, if there are any subtle shifts. And this concludes our class on internal rotation of the hips. So thank you.